So when it comes to your 30s, we call this the messy middle. A lot of things are happening in your 30s. Your career is accelerating. Maybe you're getting married. Maybe you're having kids. A lot of things are changing in your life. And so what we're going to talk about today is what goals you need to have in place so that you can make sure you maximize your 30s financially. So if that's something you're into, let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you at least have that emergency fund set up. Now, we talked about this with some of the biggest goals for your 20s as well, but making sure you have at least 6 months of your net income saved in an emergency fund is something you definitely want to have in your 30s. This is your safety net. This is the thing that's going to protect your finances from anything in life, because guess what? Life happens. And when life happens, you want to make sure that you're prepared, because this reduces your stress. It reduces your anxiety. You don't have to worry about money when you have a cash cushion in place. If you lose your job, you have 6 months of runway to find another job. If your house catches on fire, you at least have 6 months of money to cover the expenses if you need to stay at another place or figure out what you're going to do. If you have issues with your car, you have the money just there to repair the car. An emergency fund gives you flexibility in life. It gives you flexibility with your finances. And if you have kids or dependents in your life, you want to make sure that you have that money there so that you have that flexibility, because trust me, it is going to come in very handy when there's a lot of things going on in life. The next one to think through is that if you want to keep that safety net in place, is consider paying off all non-mortgage debt, specifically high interest debt. If you have high interest debt, anything above 5%, you want to make sure that you're getting rid of that by your 30s and not taking it on later on in life. Now, if you have some low interest debt and you'd rather invest those dollars are probably something that'd be better suited for investing. But if you don't like debt, if you want to get rid of debt, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. Get rid of that debt if you want to get rid of it, because getting rid of all non-mortgage debt is something that can be incredibly powerful, because every extra dollar that comes in, now you could put towards investments or your financial future, or you could put them towards your kids' college, or you can put them towards your travel fund. Whatever you want to do, spend that money how you want. But figuring out how to eliminate debt is a very powerful way to go through your 30s. The next one is to increase that savings rate to at least 20 to 25%. Now, in your 20s, we let you slide on by with that lower savings rate. But once you hit your 30s, you want to accelerate this number, because if you only save 10% of your income, what's going to happen is you're going to be working for 50 years. And you don't want to work for 50 years. We don't want you to work for 50 years. We want you to build a tremendous amount of wealth. So over time, you want to increase that savings rate. And when I'm talking about savings rate, I mean your net income, not your gross income, not before taxes, not what your salary says, but the actual dollars that are coming in. So if $5,000 every single month hits your bank account, then you at least want to be saving $1,000. Now, this can be across a number of different things. Maybe it's in your emergency fund and your investment accounts. Maybe it's across a couple of other things as well. But making sure you save those dollars towards your future is very powerful for your wealth building long term. The next one. If you have dependents, you want to consider getting term life insurance. So dependents are things like children, aging parents, a business partner that relies on you, a spouse that relies on you. Anybody who relies on you making money or your income, you want to make sure that you have term life insurance. Now, term life insurance is very different than whole life insurance. Term life insurance is very inexpensive. It's something like $20 to $30 a month if you're in your 30s, and it covers you in the event that you die. So if you die and you have a $500,000 policy, then that $500,000 will go towards your dependents, and it protects your family. It protects people who depend on you when life happens. So making sure you have that coverage and that protection for you and your family is something that's very important to have, specifically in your 30s, because you're going to have a lot more dependents in your 30s than you did in your 20s. Now, if you don't have dependents, you don't need life insurance. It's not something that you need unless you have people who depend on your income. Now, whole life insurance is a very different story, and that's a very expensive differential. So you want to make sure that you consider the two options, and we have a video on this as well. So if you want to check that out, make sure you check it out. We'll link it down below and at the end of this video so that you can see the difference between term and whole life insurance. The next one along the same lines is get your estate planning in order, because as you start to build up these assets, as you start to build wealth, maybe you have a house, maybe you're buying rental properties, maybe you have a bunch of stock investments. You want to make sure that these are going to the right places. And as you start accumulating some more assets, assets, you want to make sure you have your estate plan in order. So there's a number of ways to do this. You can do this online in a number of places, or you can go to an attorney to set it up. And if you want to set it up the right way, or at least get a better understanding, it's worth the money to spend on an attorney. You don't have to spend a crazy amount of money. Sometimes you can find an attorney for, $1,000 to $2,000 to set up your estate plan so that you understand what's going on. Now, in the future, once you have that understanding, you can continue the plan with the attorney, or you can continue it on your own. But just having that baseline knowledge so that you can figure out what you want to do is incredibly powerful, especially in the long run. You want to make sure that you have your assets going to the right places. The next one is to start a 529 plan for your children. So after you've started to hit your minimum investment goals, you started to start building wealth with wealth accelerators, then what you want to do is, with any excess cash, after your retirement is taken care of, then you can start saving for your children's college. Now, you don't want to do this before your retirement's taken care of, because guess what? There's no retirement loans when you get to retirement age. So you want to make sure that you follow what I call the oxygen mask method, meaning when an airplane's going down, what do? You take care of your own mask first, then you help others. The same goes for your retirement planning. Take care of your own retirement first, then you can help your children with their 529 plans. Because like I just said, there's no retirement loans. There are student loans. Now, we all don't want to have our children with student loans, but it's the better option of the two, because you got to take care of your retirement. You have to retire as well. So make sure you're hitting those retirement goals before you hit those 529 plan goals. Now, what a 529 plan is, it's a way for you to save for your children's college and reduce that tax liability. In addition, you can invest those dollars as well. And then when it's time for your children to go to college, then you can use that money tax-free on any qualified education expense. Now, there's a ton of qualified education expenses. It's not just books and going to school and dorm rooms. There's a lot of other things that you can do, things like studying abroad. So even if your children don't go to college, there's a number of options to get around this, and there's so much tax deductions that come with the 529 plan. It's a very powerful account to set up for you and your children. And then the last one is to get an accountant. Specifically, if your finances are getting complicated, you want to consider getting an accountant, because what an accountant can do for you is they can help you save a lot of money in taxes. My accountant specifically saves me thousands of dollars every single year that I wouldn't be able to save for myself if I was on TurboTax or some of these other free options that are out there. So finding an accountant who knows what your personal financial situation is. For example, if you're a real estate investor, you want to find an accountant who specializes in real estate investing. If you're a stock investor, you want to find an accountant who can actually help you minimize some of those gains when it comes to the stock market. And finding the right accountant is just a huge time saver, and it's incredibly powerful. Now, you still got to get them all the forms, your W-2s, all those types of things, but you want to make sure that you have the right person in place so that you can take advantage of every single tax deduction that you have within your power. My accountant is some of the best money that I spend every single year. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you learned a ton about some of the goals that you should have in your 30s. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell as well, and we will see you on the next video.